All right, you crazy kids. Here we go. Solo episode of the Strong Life podcast. It's been a bit since I've done a solo episode. The time is 6:45 a.m. A little bit sleepy. And for those of you that are new here, welcome. And for those of you who have been coming here, thanks for supporting the Strong Life podcast. This is your host and your boy, Zach Evanesh. So a couple things. With this solo episode, we got some great questions on training, on health, on business, on startup, as a strength and conditioning coach. And in the Strong Life podcast, what we like to dig into is how to take strength training lessons from the weight room, from the gym, and apply them to life. And as my late friend, the Ultimate Warrior, said, it's easy to be a badass under the barbell. But how about you be a badass in your life? And I got to tell you, life could be really tough sometimes. It could kick your ass and you think the fight is over, and then the fight begins again. And one thing I like to really do during the Strong Life podcast is share transparently, really just share not just the good times, but the legitimate tough times and the bad times. For those of you who know me, I drink my morning tea. I know you're really not supposed to like slurp, but I don't care. I'm doing it anyway. And normally I don't record the solo episode, but I wanted to just do it anyway, add a little more life to it. I don't really watch too much TV. I'll usually watch I think it's called the A&E or History Channel. I watch things like American Pickers or those shows where people are living in Alaska. Stuff like that. I don't really watch too much TV, although I do love Jack Carr's books, his audiobooks, and I'm looking forward to his TV series, which I think is going to be on like HBO or Showtime. It starts in the summer, so I will have to get a subscription for that. But otherwise, I'll watch YouTube. You'll see me learning on YouTube and from the TV. And so some people might be watching this from the big screen TV. So here we go, kids. Q&A action. Strong Life podcast is brought to you by who? By you. The way to support the show is get on the newsletter. Go to zachstrength.com. I also want to say this. I've only released this internally, meaning to the newsletter, to members of the Underground Strength Academy. I haven't put it out on social media. I want this to go to people who are active doers, right? They listen, they invest time, they invest money, people that support the show. So the Strength and Sports Performance Coach certification has launched, the SSPC cert. It's a fully online cert. I don't know when I'll do the next in-person cert. The last in-person cert I did, I thought I had something here. I had certificates here, was at Sorinex headquarters last August. Coming here to the town I live in the summer is almost impossible for people because of the cost and the planning that you must do. Travis Mash reached out to me about an intern and really sung the guy's praises. And I said, dude, it's like $500 to $1,000 a night to stay in Manasquan during the summer. And then in the surrounding towns, I don't even know how he would have survived, to be honest with you. I'm sure it could have happened. I just don't know how. That being said, I will open up options for an internship at the Underground Strength Gym in Manasquan. It would have to be somebody local. Okay. Now, moving on from the SSPC cert. If you want the $100 discount code, it's on the forum of the Underground Strength Academy, which is undergroundstrengthcoach.com. The updates that I've been posting in there have been awesome. We recorded, not fully, but a lot of portions from the Boston Strong Life experience that I did like 3 years ago. And Joe DeSena spoke, Murph from Total Performance Sports, who is an OG. I mean, he had his own warehouse gym far before I did. And I remember training out of my garage, following him through our interaction on Elite FTS, seeing this guy in, he's in the Boston area, but he was holding seminars with world's strongest men coming and doing seminars. So he was ahead of the curve on seminars, opening the gym and stuff like that. So his presentation, or at least most of it, is on. The guy that recorded for us didn't really do, like, he didn't record the whole thing from start to finish. And that goes back to one of my previous Strong Life episodes where I said the topic was do your job. Do your job, do a great job at what you do. Don't half-ass it. Don't require people to have to knock on the door and chase you down and where are you and appease you and try to motivate you. Do your fucking job and do it great without needing a cheering squad. And by the way, I was drinking some coffee. I stopped because I started getting that feeling of like, oh man, I need another cup of coffee. Or I started feeling that drop in energy in the afternoon. I don't get that when I drink tea. I drink a cup of tea in the morning and that's it. Then it's over. So let's crush this Q&A. I'm going to pull it up from the Instagram. And again, guys, if you want to get in on the early bird registration, go to sspcoach.com. The business bonus is the full seminar recording that Joe DeFranco and I did called Garage Gym Godfathers. So the training is extremely powerful. It's all about the evolution and the evolving I've gone through this past decade, learning weightlifting, getting more involved with speed training. Although we utilize speed training with weights, we do a lot of jump training, a lot of sprint work, a lot of change of direction. It's like the next level from the underground strength coach cert. And a lot of people said, dude, do not shut down the underground strength coach cert. They're like, that certification changed my life. Like I fly the flag proudly. Not everybody does, right? Some people are like, whoa, I cannot give Zach Evnesh credit. That is bad. I'm self-made. He never helped me. Then if I come across their Instagram, I'm like, wow, they learned that at the cert. That's the warm up we always do. So that's all right. You don't got to give me credit. Okay. You don't got to go on Apple. You don't got to leave 5-star reviews. Let the lazy people be lazy. But those that do, those that support, get after it. sspcoach.com. $100 discount code on the undergroundstrengthcoach.com forum. Here we go, friends. Question numero uno from the real Jeff Alexander. What are the key differences in training once you get older? In my case, over 50, which is an awesome question. Now, I'm 46, so I don't have experience with what happens to me personally over the age of 50. But looking around, seeing what happens to men, strength training and muscle building is the fountain of youth. And yesterday I was listening to an old episode with my bros over at Power Athlete, and they did a podcast with Dr. Keith Barr. I mean, it was a way back episode. And Keith Barr specializes in, I believe it's tendons. But the main thing that he was talking about was as you get older, and I don't recall if he mentioned in your 40s or in your 50s, but I believe it was in your 40s. He said, we lose muscle something like 3 times as fast as we would if we were in our 20s. So you stop training for 2 weeks. The negative effect, the detraining effect, was or is up to 3 times as fast as if you stopped in your 20s. And I'll tell you this, if I stop training for a week, I come back, I definitely feel like I've lost a step. That is very quick. Whereas with the high school athletes, college athletes that I work with, 1 week off is something I do as part of the tapering process leading into the end of the year or sports competition. So that being said, as we get older, you lose muscle faster, you lose strength faster. At the seminar that we did, myself, Joe DeFranco, Matt Wenning, we call it the Triple Threat Seminar. Joe was addressing loss of power in the adult population. And so we tested everybody who attended on the vertical jump using a jump mat. And what was interesting was some of them, Matt, I think, is like 41 or 42. Joe is my age, or 47. I'm 46. So we're all right there. We saw that most people didn't even know how to jump. They struggled with coordination, meaning when you jump, your arms should go up if you're jumping vertical. If you're jumping horizontally, like a broad jump, your arms should go in the direction that you're jumping. People didn't know how to use their arms in conjunction, coordination with their legs, which shows a lot of kind of bodybuilding isolated work, this inability to maintain athleticism. They didn't get much height. They didn't know how to exert a lot of speed and pop, which would be a lack of implementing dynamic effort work with weights, jumping, throwing medicine balls, sprinting, even jumping rope. So those things, power, athleticism, really start to fall off unless you use them. I'm not a nutrition guru, but there was some real great talk on nutrition as you get older with that podcast with Wellborn, Tex, and I think Luke back then was on, so it was a while ago, with Dr. Keith Barr, about how the body, like insulin sensitivity and use of carbohydrates. So John often says, not just on this episode, John is very dialed in with nutrition. So he says there's a big difference in the way people look when they eat primarily animal meats and train with weights over 85%. So heavy lifting, around 3 to 5 reps. So as you get older, most people want to stray away from heavy lifting. Heavy is not what you did in your teenage or 20 something years. I was at my strongest in my mid 30s. That being said, if you always compare what you did to yesteryear or last decade, that's what could get you in trouble. That's where I believe injuries happen. Oh, I always used to do this, right? People say that. When we had a gym up in North Jersey, we had 2 groups where adults would blend in with athletes. And I would have to tell the men, do not try to copy what they are doing. That 16-year-old in your head is what's going to injure the 46-year-old body. And so certain things I didn't like doing were like the touch and go jumps, hurdle jumps. I didn't like doing that. And I got to tell you what, I had coaches up there that didn't listen to me on that because they were younger. And sometimes coaches don't listen to you, which is, a problem. Meaning, I don't need any CrossFit injuries. Why did we see a lot of Achilles tears in CrossFit? Because they did that touch and go box jump up, jump down, jump up, jump down. And you had a lot of people who were not physically prepared for that kind of work. They weren't built up through strength training, through eccentrics, through isometrics. And so as you get older, you lose these athletic qualities unless you keep training them. You also lose, if you go back to 2 of the podcasts I've done with Scott Mendelson on nutrition and fat loss and nutrition in your 40s. He even mentions that each passing decade, we lose digestive enzymes. So he says that's why when you ate pizza in your teens and early 20s, you felt fine. But then in your 30s and 40s, it starts disturbing your gut. It's like I told him, you feel like you have a hangover, a carbohydrate hangover. And also you don't digest the food as easily. So what happens is you could eat pizza at a certain, window of time, certain age group, doesn't affect you. Get to your 40s, you eat a little bit of that crap food, a little bit of that processed food, it goes right to your gut. And so the more dialed in you are with training, the more dialed in you are with nutrition and overall lifestyle, the better you can keep improving at these qualities and really become like anti-aging. So I'm 46. I've seen other people younger than me who look much older than me. Lack of exercise, lack of proper eating, lack of managing stress. And so all of these things are pieces of the puzzle that get pulled away. And so you want to, Mike Boyle, I've mentioned this, he talks about filling the buckets. I like to talk about the pieces of the puzzle. So you could train, but if your lifestyle is not dialed in, if your eating and nutrition is shit, then you're really going to be pulling away pieces, large pieces of the puzzle. All right. Next question. Bayani Warrior. Okay. My man has invested in Operation Thunder, and he does Filipino stick fighting and some grappling / jujitsu. But check out this question. How do you build a business when your day job takes so much of your time? I'm trying my best to use the little time I have in each day. But right now, I'm only able to teach my classes once or twice a week. Every day, I focus on what I can do, social media, etc., during my lunch breaks and early mornings. But teaching classes seems to be very limited due to time available. I feel like if I taught more, I could grow faster. Thanks for all of your help, Coach. So absolutely. Let's think about this. So my friend here, Bayani Warrior, he's not doing strength and conditioning classes. He's doing martial arts, self-defense. And so that being said, whoops, we lost the Instagram here. We lost it, kids. Let's say I ran underground strength gym early days, and I was only open once or twice a week. It's not enough. People wanted to train twice a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week. I like seeing athletes 3 days a week. That's really the goal. And so if I'm not available 3 days a week, I need to get somebody else who's available. That being said, you're trying to grow your business. It's really hard to hire somebody from the get-go. You don't really have the cash flow. So you need to find a way to do a class, maybe 1 hour a day, Monday through Thursday in the evening, 6 p.m. all the time. Actually, 6 p.m. is dinner time. So maybe it's 4 p.m., maybe it's 5 p.m. That way, when you're done, it's straight to family time. And without a doubt, there needs to be work to grow a business. I think we've gotten to that place where we're talking about, passive income, not doing anything. Well, there's really no such thing as completely passive income. There's been a lot of work leading up to that point, work, happening during these things. So I would get one a day, Monday through Thursday, or Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and then like a Saturday, right? A Saturday morning. That being said, when I first started, it all depends on your location. When I first started, I had a 7 o'clock group on the regular at my gym, and it was actually a busy time. Now, I also did 7 o'clocks out of my house from the early days. Living in central Jersey, near the cusp of North Jersey, back then, a lot of people worked in Manhattan and they worked later. It's interesting that before COVID and during times like when we had like an economic recession, I think it was like 08, 09, people's work schedules shifted. Companies that were normally working Monday through Friday, 8 hours a day, started doing Monday through Thursday, 10 hours a day, giving people a 3-day weekend. So you have to know your area. Like the immediate area that I'm in, it's more like they're more focused on the social life, being at the beach, being at the bar. So I'm contemplating not having a Friday afternoon, Friday evening group during the summertime because it's just too crazy to get through here with the traffic, have a morning session. So you have to work. There's no two ways about it. And you have to be very strategic. If you're only going to be running one group, you've got to make it a VIP group with a limited number of people to get in, because obviously you're going to be limited on space, limited on time. So that's what I would do. Monday through Thursday, 1 hour. You get home, you give yourself a quick change of clothes, and you're running that group. So for example, when I was training athletes out of my house, I got out of the school at 3:45 p.m. I couldn't get home for a 4 o'clock group. So I just did a 5 o'clock. So I'd get home, I would change, I'd have a cup of coffee, and then 5, 6 p.m. group, whatever kids were scheduling. But I remember doing groups at 7 o'clock. On weekends, I was doing groups anytime somebody wanted to train. But you got to understand, we can't apply my experiences from almost 20 years ago. And I'm going to tell you why. Because 20 years ago, there was barely anybody doing strength and conditioning. And so there weren't a lot of options for parents. And so when they saw photos and videos of us and articles in the magazines training with sandbags, sleds, Russian kettlebells, people had never seen that before. Now it's easy to access that equipment. And so understanding the mindset of people who are interested, they just think it's all the same stuff. Hey, he's doing speed and agility. They hear that their son is doing speed and agility at school. Now they think all angles are covered. They have no clue that it's the science teacher with zero background in biomechanics, in sports performance, and even hands-on experience. They don't know, but they heard the word speed and agility. So with so few options back then, people were willing to travel to me from up to an hour away to train out of my house, and as I've mentioned to you before, the biggest advantage to business is a starving crowd, meaning Filipino stick fighting does not really have this crazy starving crowd, but jujitsu or karate or some sort of self-defense, build confidence, that has a starving crowd. That being said, you need to cater to what people want, which is a big reason why the underground strength coach cert transitioned and I created the SSPC cert. Because if I was to stand in front of a crowded room, or you were, right, any coach, and they say, "Good afternoon, friends. My name is John Smith. I am an underground strength coach." That doesn't even ring a bell. It's like, what? Underground? They're working underground? No. Underground is one word, meaning not following the rules, breaking the rules, doing unique, different kind of training, not the same. Underground is training methods that are not of the norm, neither are the results. But say John Smith stands in front of the room. I'm a certified strength and sports performance coach. Strength and sports performance coach. He gets athletes strong. He prepares them for sport. He does speed training. That's the stuff that runs through their mind. Even our training had to evolve, not because I'm appeasing people, but because I've seen the sports have changed. The kids have changed in what they want and what they need. And they need a lot of that movement, which is why you see a lot of that evolution. And I think anybody who's doing a great job in business, even if it's a chef, not necessarily a strength and sports performance coach, a chef, auto mechanic, they have evolved. They've changed the way they do business to do better business, to deliver better results, to deliver results faster. So keep those things in mind as a business owner. So let's, Bionic Warrior, get one session a day, except for Fridays. And then maybe you do a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. All right, friends, we got time for one more question before I take the kids to school. Okay. If you have an athlete, this is from Redbeard 49. If you have an athlete with limited shoulder mobility, particularly lack of external rotation to get into a good position under the bar, squatting, how would you address that and help correct it? Great question. Number one, make sure you have specialty bars. Don't just use the straight bar. The straight bar is really a silent killer for the shoulder because you are torquing people into external rotation. Now, I used a straight bar from age 13. I don't think I had a safety bar until my late 20s. I remember I bought the Elite FTS original safety squat bar. It was 75 pounds. The thing was a fucking tank. It was brutal. I must have gotten that safety bar I may have been 30. So I may have already spent, you know, 15 plus years squatting with a straight bar and felt great. And, that's coming from a guy who had a pretty severe shoulder tear in wrestling. I mean, I actually heard my shoulder go while wrestling my brother. I remember the pain was so severe, I almost threw up. But I digress. I would do soft tissue work against the pec, especially the pec minor. Use a lacrosse ball, use any of the body tempering devices. Look up what they're doing with Kabuki Strength and Donnie Thompson. Donnie Thompson has great videos on YouTube that are older, so check those out. He posts more of his stuff to Instagram, but on his YouTube, you could at least search for the topic. I would also do soft tissue work around the scapula to, get the upper back and the traps more, I don't want to use the word mobile, but more free moving, number one, number two. So pec soft tissue work, upper back, all around the scap soft tissue work. And I would rotate bars and rotate squat movements. So if we're back squatting and that's a struggle, we're going to go to safety bar squat. Then we're also going to do the front squat, which in a proper front squat, I get some external rotation. The front squat is a tremendous exercise. And then you can also do some mobility exercises and strengthening exercises. Go to Kelly Starrett's YouTube, The Ready State, and just type in external rotation. There is some contrasting information. You'll be on Donnie Thompson's YouTube and you'll see him using compression bands around the shoulder. People like Keith Barr don't agree with that. He feels like they need load and movement, shearing versus compression. He says it kind of freezes the shoulder. But Donnie Thompson goes by what his experience does. The other thing is utilizing movements that help improve your mobility. I use a ADEX club, which is, a steel mace, different. It has different loads that you could twist on and off. That will help with external rotation. And then that being said, never be married to one lift. If the straight bar back squat is not working now, it might work down the road. And also, some big powerlifters take that real wide grip. I'm not a fan. I like to be here or slightly wider than this 90-degree position and keep it right in the middle of my traps. So that would be a high bar back squat. I do not like that low bar back squat. So I think I could get one more question going here before I take one of my kids to school. Tucker Goodall was asking, he's got to be a new follower, how did you become a strength and conditioning coach? So I think the best podcast to listen to on that topic is when Barbell Shrug interviewed me years ago. The late, great Barbell Buddha, Chris Moore, was on that episode. And we did a great job of kind of walking everybody through the experience of my early days, as I mentioned, training out of my house. But before I trained people out of my first home, I was training people out of my parents' garage, my parents' backyard, and local playgrounds. So really started from the ground up big time. And when I was training people out of my garage, we had baseball players, football players, wrestlers, swimmers, multi-sport athletes, basketball players. And Ryan Lee was interviewing me for his early days website, which was sold to Mike Boyle way back in the day. But he was like, describe your training, what kind of style of training is it? And at the time, there was this functional training craze of like, you got to stand on one leg and you got to stand on a Bosu ball, on a physio ball, and this and that. By the way, I'm going to be meeting David Weck in about 2 weeks, the creator, the inventor of the Bosu ball. Very excited to see him. But anyway, I was like, man, we don't follow any of those rules. I said, we're underground. There are no rules. I utilize, old school bodybuilding methods, powerlifting methods, the conjugate method, strongman training. So I was blending everything. You see old photos of me training with stones. You see photos of us not only flipping tires, but throwing tires. We're doing that stuff 20 years ago. So when COVID happened and everybody was coming out with that and selling programs on that, I was like, look at this clickbait bullshit. That being said, I've been posting YouTube videos since 2006. I had this conversation with Dr. Brian Mann and Matt Wenning, is that if guys like us, Matt Wenning already has a great YouTube, but he feels it's not getting enough action. I mean, he gets like 200 comments on each video. I get 2 comments on a video. I get 100 to 200 views on videos. The game is I need to invest in a videographer. I've been saying this for a long time. I mean, if somebody's local in the Jersey Shore, come and make it happen. I want to film for a day, stockpile 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 videos, release them through the month. That is the game. Because if I don't do that, then look, I believe obviously in what I'm doing. I want my information to impact this world. And guess what? It's not impacting the world because I need to evolve in business. I need to change the way I share information. The people winning out there are peddling a lot of bullshit. There's clickbait. I'm going to have to use clickbait YouTube titles. That's the truth. What's a clickbait YouTube title? How to firm and tighten your booty with the top 5 exercises to to tighten your booty. Top 3 ways to get ripped for summer. It's all clickbait because really in training, Matt Wenning always really harps on this. Everybody's looking for what can happen in the next 3 weeks, 6 weeks, 12 weeks. But really what they need to look at is what can this do for me in the next 3 years, 6 years? There's a saying that the days go by slow, but the years go by fast. Well, before you know it, you're in your 40s. And so that's why Matt Wenning's quote that I love is when you're in your 20s, train like you're in your 40s. So when you're in your 40s, you feel like you are in your 20s. So that being said, if you're out there and you want to intern at the Underground Strength Gym for strength and conditioning, send me a video of why you would be a great fit. Email it to me. If you want to be a videographer and you could help me with YouTube, send me an email, send me an Instagram DM. You got to be local so we could film once, twice a month. Obviously, you will get paid for your time. But I need somebody who could do a great job. I do not like working with people who can't get their head out of their ass and get shit done. That's the truth. That's the bottom line. So my start from strength and conditioning was completely underground. Parents' garage, backyards, taking photos with an actual digital camera, uploading it to my computer, not even knowing how to adjust the resolution of the photos. So 5 photos would take up the memory stick inside of a digital camera. Then was in my own garage from the home. Had a 2-car garage. You could go back and see those videos. You have to go back to the earliest YouTube videos. So keep hitting that back button. And then in 2007, rented my first warehouse. And I'm looking to purchase a warehouse because I want to have an asset with the business. Some people can sell their business, right? They're training adults. They've got all kinds of members. They've got all kinds of contracts locked up. The Underground Strength Gym, I want to build athletes. And so I don't get too tied up in growing the business. I want to train and build bad motherfuckers. That's what I want to do. And that's the direction of the Underground Strength Gym. With me working in a high school and the last podcast with Brian Bott, I love what he's doing with partnering with other schools. So I'm open for that. I do consulting, but I would love to partner with schools where I provide the training, right? I provide the workouts, the program design, and constant education, which is what the Underground Strength Academy does. If you're a strength coach, a sports performance coach, undergroundstrengthcoach.com. And then when you're in there, get the discount code and sign up for the SSPC certification. The SSPC cert, I got to tell you, the price is $497, which is like keeping a member for 2 or 3 months. It has to be more expensive than that because this is information as a coach that you will use for the rest of your career that will pay you back for the rest of your career. it should really be several $1,000s. I'm not a fan of underpricing and undercutting powerful, priceless information. I'll be back taking the kids to school. And a reminder, guys, ZachStrength.com for the free newsletter. I will be back. All right, friends, I am back. Took the kids to school and let's rock the house. So I'm about to go on the Instagram to pick up with the questions. And I check my email, and the Underground Strength Academy gives me a daily report. So it shows that 11 people signed in and 21 people were denied, which means people are trying to access the website, with a fake username and fake email. So I'll see if you guys can see that. You could see it says log on denials 21. Woo. Okay. Pretty interesting. So that the Underground Strength Academy has been going strong since 2005. I started it where we opened registration February of 2005, but the summer of 2004 is when I began creating content for the academy. And so it's crazy that here we are, 2022, we're getting very close to 20 years of the academy. It is powerful. There's a lot of old stuff in there, a lot of new stuff, a lot of stuff through the middle. Basically, every month I update things. When I have a lot of stuff to provide, I update every week. And I have been in some big name membership sites that have zero updates ever. They just stockpile a bunch of stuff. I'm done with it in 2 days, and they never update. That is not what happens with the Underground Strength Academy. Constant and consistent updates, a workout of the month, a movie of the month, behind the scenes training footage, specific exercise instruction, just powerful stuff. In fact, while we are here, I can do a screen share. So let's take a look. Screen share, desktop, share, open it up. Here we go. Show you guys what Underground Strength Academy looks like. And I know I have a piece of content in there that is scheduled for, I'm not sure if it's happening today or next Wednesday. That tends to be when I like to schedule things midweek. But you could see here, there's the SSPC CERT discount code. Here's what I just launched, or here's the piece of content that I just added. Joe DeSena spoke at the Strong Life Experience, and this is part 1, and there's a part 2. We spoke about success principles, and it is effing powerful. Murph spoke. This was like a 20-something minute video here. The guy who recorded did not record the whole thing. We'll have to hunt him down. So Strong Life Experience, carries, calisthenics. This is behind the scenes training footage. Okay, more training footage, behind the scenes footage from the Triple Threat Seminar. Bodyweight University was a bodyweight. It was a series of DVDs I released with just hundreds upon hundreds of bodyweight training exercises. I do Q&A for our members, kettlebell training, more kettlebell training, PDFs, bodyweight videos, special report with a video, how to run speed and strength camps to grow your business. And it's just so much. You could see all these different categories. So I'm going to click on old school strength. And sometimes I'll take photos from like all the old health and strength magazines. Interview I did with Louis Simmons way back in the day. Behind the scenes videos, looking at books in my library, the Husker Power Conditioning Program, full video from like the 80s, late 80s, early 90s of Dr. Ken and Mike Gentry training Virginia Tech. Okay. Speed training, throwback May 2009 Underground Strength workout. I mean, you guys can see how powerful this is. Setting up your first home gym using minimal equipment, old school training courses. Man, what books do I recommend for strength coaches? Excerpt from my new fiction book, It just never ends, guys. The amount of work that I put into this old school strength collective. There is so much. I don't think, people will say, yes, my membership site's the best. Everybody says their stuff is the best. There's also people out there that say they're like one of the, world renowned strength coach, but they don't train anybody, and they never did train people, and they don't even own a gym, and they never owned a gym. And I get it. Eventually, I will not own a gym. I'll have a private barn. But some of these people that are coaching other coaches, they've like maybe trained 5 people at a time at most. It's like full of shit. That's the problem. That is the problem in today's world, is people get duped. People have no problems lying. And I got a problem with that. Let's get on to the next questions. I believe we've got 2 more. Okay. This is a great question from P Meyer 490. What is the best way to retain the information you read and listen to? I have always had a tough time retaining knowledge I read from my favorite strength coach, DeFranco, Smitty, you. I was hoping you have ideas about strategies or books to help with this issue. Thank you, coach. I love that question. And I got to say, I have been, since the early days, obsessed with strength and conditioning, bodybuilding, this whole, sports performance. And so even though I didn't begin lifting weights until the end of 8th grade, I was already doing push-ups and curls in elementary school and middle school. But my older brother, 2 years older than me, had bodybuilding books in his room, bodybuilding magazines. The only magazines, he had Muscular Development, Flex, and Muscle and Fitness. So I was reading articles on bodybuilding before I was actually training. And so I still recall the first time I ever went to Dynamic Fitness, one of my favorite gyms. And I remembered had never used a machine before, because I was training out of my brother's room, which had a Joe Weider adjustable bench, spin-on collars for weights. But I remember knowing and understanding how to do the seated cable row, and how to do lat pull downs, and how to squeeze the muscles and pull the shoulder blades back. And it was because I had read about it, and I was so intrigued and became obsessed about it. And it's interesting that today, with a gazillion fitness and training videos out there, I watch kids at my high school when they come in during their free period. They don't know how to do a cable row. They don't know how to do a lat pull down. They do a lat pull down hunched over, or they pull all the way down to their belly. It turns into a pull down triceps push down. And it goes to show you that information is not solving anybody's problems. Now, that being said, how do you retain the information? I feel, because I love this information, it just all makes sense to me. For example, it's not here on my desk, it's at my high school office. I have books like The Managing of the Training of the Weightlifter, Louis Simmons' Special Strength Training, Westside Barbell Book of Methods. Louis sometimes speaks, and some of these like older Russian training manuals that were translated into English, I'll start with Louis. His books oftentimes have this blend of science and storytelling. And I remember giving it to one of the interns at my gym 5-6 years ago. He's like, man, this stuff went all above my head. And at the time I thought to myself, wow, reading Louis' Westside Barbell books makes complete sense to me. It's easy for me to understand. Maybe because I had devoured his training tapes, his VHS tapes, his DVDs, and watched them hundreds of times, it made sense to me. Him explaining training methods through the stories of training other people, like he would mention training Angelo Berardinelli about boosting his deadlift. He would talk about training Kevin Randleman, special strength training. He would talk about training for time. It made sense to me. And so I think what you got to do is, if you're asking the question, I don't want to say you're obsessed, but it sounds like you're quite interested. But I would say this: take action with it. for example, let's say you read something, and I'm going to take you back to lessons I learned in undergrad from a great professor. He taught me how to study. And what he said was, during class, you want to take notes in your notebook. And when I took notes, if the professor was speaking quite fast, it was what I call shorthand. So instead of saying B4, my writing said BE, the number 4, and I would just kind of speed write. Then the same day, unless I had a night class, it would be the next day, I would walk to the library down the street from my house. And then I had a clean notebook, and I rewrote and retook my notes. And that was a form of active learning, active studying. And so for you, let's say you're reading the Westside Barbell Book of Methods, and you read a chapter on dynamic effort and speed training. Well, now what I want you to do is think about who you're training, who you work with, or yourself, and program multiple dynamic effort workouts for lower and upper body, and make a bunch of different ones. So now you're listening to something or reading something or watching a video. Now you're going to apply it. Same thing if, like I've said this in my certification, anytime somebody signs up for the Underground Strength Coach cert or the SSPC cert, I tell them every day, watch the videos for 1 hour. While you're watching the video, take notes. I tell them to utilize those notes for the multiple choice exam. As soon as you're done with the multiple choice exam, get a friend, get a training partner, and immediately start getting recorded for the practical portion so you can apply and put it into play. But really what I should start telling people to get more understanding and a deep clarity of the training methods is, while you're watching, while you're taking notes, I want you to implement those training methods on yourself or somebody that you train the next day or the same day. So if you're taking notes in the morning, so if you're watching the video and you see our athletic movement prep, implement it with your athletes, implement some of it with your adults. The next day you see a specific barbell exercise. Well, now I want you to program it into your members' training. Who's it going to be for? A high school athlete, a middle school athlete? You know, we talk about progressions and regressions. How can you implement immediately? So implementation is a big, quote unquote, success secret of anybody, whether it's a coach, an entrepreneur, anybody in the world of business. I just got a reminder that Summer Strong is coming up. So I'll be traveling to South Carolina for Summer Strong, which is this Friday and Saturday. So implementation, speed of implementation would be great, my friend P. Meyer. So let me know how that works out for you. Okay. Let's see. Last question. And this is a great business question. This is from Gold Coach 49. If you had to start your garage gym business from scratch today, what would be the top 3 things you would do to grow the business? Cheers. Now, we actually answered this question in the Garage Gym Godfathers seminar. Joe DeFranco and I did that together. That is the bonus for the SSPC certification, which that seminar was $400 to come to. That is your bonus for signing up for the SSPC cert. Go to sspcoach.com. All right. I told Joe that I was heartbroken with his answer because it was true. He said, if I was starting all over again today, the first person I would hire is not another coach. The first person I would hire is a videographer. And I said, that breaks my heart, but it's the unfortunate truth that is where we are today. Joe mentioned to me a strength coach he knows. And he said, basically, there's a camera in the guy's face 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I was like, dude, that's not the kind of business I want to run. That's not the kind of life I want to live. I don't know how long somebody could do that for. I understand it opens a lot of doors for you, but I just don't agree with it. It's not my style. So that being said, what is your style? If I had to start over again today, here's what I would do. Instead of renting a building, I would be looking to purchase a property. That's what I would have done from the get-go. I started renting in 2007. It is now 2022. That's 15 years ago. Exactly, because I began renting in the middle of May, and here we are, mid-May. 15 years of rent. And you got to understand, there's been times where I've been renting multiple facilities. Edison, I had a partner in Scotch Plains. I had a partner at Middlesex inside a baseball facility. So number one, I would buy a building because now I've got an asset. Because something happens to the business, I could sell the building. Okay. And real estate is something I'm keeping an eye on very much right now. Back then would have been tremendous to purchase a building during the recession. You know what was crazy? Listen to how crazy this is. It was before 2007. I remember I was training athletes out of the garage, and I lived in Edison. And this guy who was a real estate agent offered me a building, 6 months free rent on Main Street in downtown Edison. At the time, that was a nicer area. Right now, not such a nice area, but not far from nice areas. And it could have been a great spot. But how effing crazy is it? I denied it. I was like, I didn't even understand what kind of offer was in front of me. And on Main Street, 6 months free rent. That is insane. Okay. So that being said, I would be purchasing a building or a piece of property, depending on where you live. Now, where I lived before, there wasn't really land for sale to put something, but I would have purchased a building. If you can rent something, you can pay a mortgage on something. The only difference is you're paying somebody else's mortgage. You're paying off their building. So I would buy a building. That's number one. Number two, I would actively get somebody to do a great job with YouTube. The thing I don't like about that is, for example, yesterday I'm training. I'm having a lot of, kind of intimate conversations with athletes. They're talking to me about college. They're talking to me about switching schools. These are things that I don't even want a camera in their face. They can't be themselves if the camera is always on. And you got to decide, am I doing this for the business, for the kids, for the people I'm training, or am I doing this for YouTube? And I get it. I have an online business. And so I would utilize YouTube the way Matt Wenning does, with a lot of the instructional stuff like that. And then maybe some B-roll from your camera. So I would have a partner, like what Phil Daru has. It looks like, and I don't know if this is exactly the case, it looks like he's got people that handle the business. Like they create the website, they create, with my understanding of business, I could tell you Phil probably does not know how to make landing pages, how to make an opt-in page, how to do paid advertising. He's got a business partner / company who's doing that, who basically said, hey, we have the business, strategic brains. You are the sports performance coach. This is our strength. That's your strength. Let's come together and split the profits. That is a very powerful place, because Phil is able to do what's called stay in his unique ability. That's a phrase from Dan Sullivan of Strategic Coach. Also, note to everybody else who's a strength coach, notice how when I drop names, I give credit. There's a lot of coaches out there who refuse to give credit, or who partner with people to give them success when they couldn't have done it on their own. I think that's another thing I want to discuss is don't partner with people who, it's hard to say, like in business, what will come about from a partnership. I think everybody who's been in business long enough has had partnership relationships end on a negative. It just happens. It's kind of the unfortunate realities of business. But what I would say is never partner with somebody because you think they're going to save you. Nobody's going to save you. There's still strategies and specific things that need to get done. What really hit home for me recently was my friend Chris sent me a article from Mark Devine, founder of Seal Fit. Mark Devine was really the first, one of the first guys to bring forward this kind of SEAL-like training and turn it into a business. Now you have everybody doing it, and that's also kind of a shame. But it's the way it is. It's like the fitness industry. Yesterday, I saw somebody, a company has adjustable jammer arms, but you could just lock it in with a pin, and you could do everything on it, from reverse hypers to chest supported row to the presses. And it's like, whoa, look how fast innovation moves because of technology, because of people having kind of engineering, minds. And I was like, wow. Whereas pre-2010, if you saw somebody with bumper plates, you thought they were a god. You thought that, those bumper plates fell from the skies of the iron gods. You couldn't even find bumper plates, before Rogue Fitness came out. No, I don't want to say you couldn't. Obviously you could, but it was effing hard to come across that information. Same thing with like Olympic weightlifting. It's not called Olympic lifting. It's called weightlifting. But in those early 2000s, I remember going to a seminar that Mike Mahler put on. He was supposed to do it with Christian Thibodeau, who was going to teach weightlifting. Christian, for some reason, couldn't make the seminar, so it was all kettlebells. But I was like, man, if I could have learned weightlifting in 2003 when I attended that seminar, would have been amazing. And I remember having to help Mike find a location for his seminar because their location fell through. Now there's a gazillion gyms. I helped him find the location because it was inside of a martial arts building that rented space. It was called Fight House. I don't even know if it's in New York City, but basically multiple instructors from different kinds of martial arts styles rented space. So instead of renting your gym month after month, year after year, you rented space. Oh, you're there Monday, Wednesday, Thursday from 6 to 8 p.m. Here's your rental fee. Oh, you're going to teach kettlebells Saturday mornings once a week. That's it. Here's your fee. You're going to teach Filipino stick fighting every Tuesday and Thursday at 8 p.m. Here's your fee. That's what they did. So long story short, I'm bouncing around a lot. I would purchase my own building, number one. Number two, I would partner with somebody or just pay them as an employee, a videographer, and I would have a real dialed in YouTube account. The reason being is, and even on Instagram, if you look at my videos, they're by me. I'm recording them. Boom. They're on a tripod, but there's no amazing still image. There's no just strategy. It's, I'll say something like, like outwork everyone. That's the name of the YouTube video. Nobody gives a fuck about that. They want to know the 3 best bicep exercises, the 3 quickest ways to burn fat in your 30s. They want all this clickbait bullshit. I hate that stuff, which is why I struggle with it. And so that being said, there's a book out there called Live Your Truth. And that's by Naval, Kamal Ravikant, Naval's brother. To me, that's everything. Live your truth. I can't do that shit. But that being said, I've been in this industry for 20 plus years. And like Dr. Brian Mann and Matt Wenning said, if we don't step up with our content, then all the bullshit will win. And I always tell Matt, I'm like, dude, it's funny how you're bugging out and don't think what you're doing is making an impact. 200 comments, 3,000 views, 7,000 views. He's like, yeah, dude, but the people that are making an impact are getting hundreds of thousands of views. And it's entertainment. People want entertainment. They want the quick fix. And we don't stand for that. And so it's hard to succeed when the world wants something that you don't believe in. It's almost heartbreaking. So purchase a building, build your asset. Number 2, I would say, man, It's a little, we've done this before. We've had adults at the other locations. I don't have them in Manasquan, but I'll say this. If somebody does want to train adults and be great at it, I would hire them. So I think that's important. It grows your membership. It builds a quote unquote legitimate business. Everybody knows that athletes come and go in season, off season. I'm busy. I need a break, blah, blah, blah. Adults are much more consistent. So have an adult program. And if you don't want to focus on the adults, have somebody else do that for you. All right. I think that about does it. I'm seeing, oh, I missed one question. Costas KR98. This is a pretty easy question. If somebody works in the heat during the summer, he works at a beach bar, what would be some guidelines, nutrition and training wise, to hopefully maintain some muscle and perform at a good level? Number one, my friend, I don't like to say maintenance. I'm not a believer in maintenance. I believe in improvement and getting better. So change your thought process. It's number one. Number two, many people, especially the bodybuilders of the 60s and early 70s, had manual labor jobs. They would lift weights before going to work and or after. Back then, it was not odd to do double sessions. You hear Dave Draper, who did it. Even Arnold and Franco were bricklayers. So they trained in the morning and then again in the evening after laying bricks. Number two, in the heat, what I do when we're training is I tell the kids that every 15 minutes, they should essentially drink a cup of water because the humidity climbs up, the heat climbs up, they're likely not hydrated, and hydration truly does not happen the day of. It starts the day before. So it's something that must be approached with consistency. So every morning, everybody should start their day with 2 glasses of water. Then you're drinking water throughout your day. And I think in the heat, if you're working in the heat, you want to eat foods that don't make you feel heavy. Me personally, I love salmon. I love fish. I love rice. I love potatoes. I love ground beef. So I would eat foods like that. I would also increase fruit intake and salads like during the summertime. Marty Gallagher calls that seasonal eating. So having salads and fruits is a great way to boost vitamins, minerals, hydration, and of course, vitamins that I consistently stay with, vitamins and minerals, vitamin C, vitamin D, magnesium, zinc, and omega-3 fish oil. So staying hydrated is not just the day of, it starts the day before. And change the thought process. Let us not think about maintenance. I don't like to think that way. You've always got to think about getting better. If you're not getting better, you are getting worse. All right, friends, I believe I covered all of the questions in the latest Strong Life podcast Q&A. Support the show. Go to zachstrength.com. Get on the free newsletter. If you're looking for online training, I've got programs on Train Heroic. I've got Gladiator Strong, which is the recurring program, which is powerful. And then I've got a lot of standalone programs on Train Heroic, which you'll see them linked all over my website. You'll see them linked in the YouTube info section. But the most recent one has been selling like crazy, which is Stronger Over 40. It's a training program for men in their 40s and older. But it's interesting. There are men signing up who are in their 20s and 30s because it's such a smart training program. It's basically 3 training sessions a week with some mini sessions snuck in. So a mini session might be push-ups and Hindu squats for 5 rounds, 10 push-ups, 20 Hindu squats. That's an extra day. Another day might be going out for a 30-minute walk, or might be a 5-minute walk, 20 minutes of jogging, walking intervals. If you're more fit, it's a running, walking interval. And then the last 5 to 7 minutes is a cool down walk. So you're going to be pretty much active 5 days a week. You have 3 main training sessions. Then you have a little extra bodybuilding hypertrophy work, and you have a day of some aerobic work. Powerful program. I'm super excited that people are loving it. And I've been able to share what I've learned as I've gotten older. I've gotten much more intelligent. I'm just much smarter and more strategic with the way I train myself, being older, as well as the way I train others. I tell the high school athletes, the way I'm training you now is so even if you don't compete in college sports, and by the way, out of high school athletes, 6 or 7% will continue in college. Half of that 6 or 7% will quit by their sophomore year. So you're looking at like a 3% continue throughout all of college. I tell them, you're going to have kids one day. You will be able to throw the football and play sports and not have joint aches and pains. So I train everybody to preserve the body. That's the ticket. Go to undergroundstrengthcoach.com. Whether you're a strength coach or not, doesn't matter. The training information, the abundance of workouts you will have access to are worth their weight in gold. But if you are a strength coach, you'll have the $100 discount. That discount code is on the forum. So you'll see it says SSPC CERT discount code. SSPC CERT will shut down. Today is Wednesday. I'm shutting it down the following Friday. So we have 9 days. That's it, my friends. So get after it. Take action. SSPcoach.com, undergroundstrengthcoach.com. Get your free training courses and newsletter at zachstrength.com. I do want to say we've had a lot of great reviews. I'm going to look at the recent reviews, see where we're at. I really want to get, over 1,000 reviews. I think we should be over 500 reviews. We are at 438 reviews. I want to get 500 reviews before the month is over. That's not a tough ask, as we have people listening, hundreds, thousands of people listening. Drop a review on Apple Podcasts. So you can see right here, 4.9 stars out of 438 ratings. The last one says, I can't get enough. Get inside his Underground Strength Academy and search so much info. I tell people to do that all the time. Check this one out. This is a great one. Be about it. I love this guy. Best. I love that rating right there. The real deal. Zach's podcasts are must listens for anyone who wants to excel at life. His to the point, direct communication stands tall amongst today's vanilla and inconclusive murmurs, especially in the fitness world. Zach possesses the leadership to inspire those around him, as well as the ability to see their plan of action into motion. We gave a lot of action steps and strategies today. I listen intently when he speaks. Check it out. Damn, that is a powerful one. Last one. The best. Damn, dude. I love these. My favorite podcast. The Strong Life is the Best Life. Zach Even-Esh has helped me in so many ways. This podcast will not let you down if you're looking for great information from a highly knowledgeable and motivating coach who always keeps it real. Listen, learn, and take action. Boom. That is awesome. I love you guys. Let's get it over 500 reviews before the end of May. I'm pumped up. If you have any questions, DM me on Instagram. I always answer in depth, oftentimes through an audio response, or send me an email. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Boom. Much love and hope to see some of you soon.